universal form, chapter 11. There are like 4 sections in the total of 55 verses. The first 4 verses, Arjuna requests Krishna to show the universal form. He requests him to, because he has already mentioned in the 10th chapter that how he maintains the whole universe just by a spark of his, by one of his expansions or the expansion. How do I actually understand that? So show me in real way. And also then Krishna explains him what he is going to show. Basically, Krishna gives an orientation before showing him the universal form, and then actually shows him the universal form, which Sanjay will describe what Arjuna saw between the verses 5 and 14. And then in verses 15 and 45, I have just summarized it as Arjuna's prayers. A lot more is happening there, that which we will see when we actually come to that section. We will see elaborately what exactly is happening there, apart from just prayers of Arjuna. He praises the supreme position of Krishna and also gets very bewildered seeing the universal form, and, and then feels, oh, this is too much intense for me to handle, and asks, prays to Krishna, please take away this form and show me your original form, which is very pleasing to the heart and the eyes. And then after his request, Krishna reveals his original form, and we will see how bhakti is the only way through which we can actually see and know Krishna, and has a beautiful ending. Krishna gives a very nice verse towards the ending of this chapter also. So this is how this chapter is divided, that where Arjuna requests to see the universal form, Krishna shows the universal form, Arjuna sees and then feels it's too intense and offers prayers and says, please take it back and show me your original form. And Krishna actually reveals his original form after Arjuna's prayers. And we will see the details as we explore each section. So the first 4 verses, where Arjuna actually says that after all that you have shared in the previous chapter, whatever Krishna shared, he says, my illusion is dispelled, having listened to all the wisdom that you have shared, all the knowledge that you have given me. And I'm able to understand your creation and your glories to some extent. I would like to see your cosmic form, the universal form through which you actually pervade everything in this world. And if you think I'm qualified, please reveal it to me. So he very humbly requests Krishna to reveal his form. So these are the verses that are summarized exactly, summarized from the translation of Srila Prabhupada. If you have a book, you can refer for the actual translations, but these are the summarized ones. By hearing, Arjuna is saying to Krishna that, oh Krishna, by hearing your instructions on these confidential spiritual subjects as revealed in the previous chapters, my illusion is now dispelled. He uses the word moha. So the same word he will use at the end of the Bhagavad Gita. So similarly here also he is using the illusion of my that I had is now actually dispelled by your kind instructions. Mohoyam. So my illusion has been removed by your instructions. And then in the second verse, he addresses Krishna as, O lotus-eyed one. Now, there are many verses in the Bhagavatam which addresses Krishna as lotus-eyed, that he has a lotus navel, he has Namo Pankajanabhaya, Namo Pankajamaline, Namaste Pankajangre, like that. So here also, Krishna is being addressed as Kamalapatra, one who has eyes like a lotus petal. And it seems like in a battlefield that does not look like the most you're in a very intense battlefield and suddenly you're just glorifying Krishna, the lotus-eyed one. And so far that has not come. He always says Madhusudana, Risudana, and all these things. Suddenly it's, oh, lotus-eyed. So it is the way that for in the Bhagavad Gita it's being revealed that this lotus-eyed Lord, who's very pleasing to look at, will show a form which is going to be like completely frightening Arjuna later. So it's a forerunner that what is going to come is very different from the current form that Arjuna is seeing. Because later Arjuna will see and describe the form that he is seeing, and it will be very different from the expression of Kamala Patraksha, the lotus-eyed form of Krishna. So just to differentiate that, so now we are having an idea what Arjuna is seeing and later what Arjuna will see. So he says, I've heard about from you about the appearance and disappearance of the living entities, and I have just realized your inexhaustible glories. So I'm very grateful. And though I'm like very grateful, I also like to see you in your actual position as you have described. I wish to see you as you have entered this cosmic manifestation. Basically, he wants to see how Krishna is all pervading. It's one thing to say and hear, but one thing to actually see and realize. So I want to see that form. Imagine like how inconceivable it is to even think. And how can anyone be able to see it, that how Krishna is actually all pervading? So it's a very, what do you call, a real mystical vision that the Gita reveals. So this chapter reveals one of the most mystical visions that ever recorded in the scriptures. And Arjuna is the first hand recipient of such an magnificent display of mysticism and opulence and power. Nobody has seen it before in this way. And then Krishna is being addressed by Arjuna. If you think, Krishna, if I'm able to see your cosmic form, if I am qualified to see your cosmic form, then please show me that unlimited universal form. So, in this way, Arjuna submits his request in the first four verses. First of all, shows gratitude for what has already been shown and how it has benefited him. So, before asking for more, he is expressing his gratitude. Whatever you have already shared has dispelled my illusion, and I have realized your glories. However, I have the small desire to see your cosmic form. Please reveal it to me. So, here we see how Arjuna's character shows that how pride usually demands while humility actually begs. So, here Arjuna is embodying humility and expressing gratitude, and also having that does not mean he has gratitude and he has humility, does not mean he does not inquire. So, curiosity, or what do you call, introspection and questioning, these things are not against humility. Rather, like Bhagavad Gita itself says in the fourth chapter, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshayanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Means that one has to actually submit humbly and ask questions, serve and also ask questions. Thoughtful questions are always welcome. So that's what we see here. Krishna, Arjuna is not just blindly accepting, he's thoughtfully questioning, not just for knowledge, for a real practical vision of what Krishna said. Show me the proof, Arjuna is asking humbly. He's saying, if you think I'm qualified, kindly bestow your grace. And and naturally, we all get this question in while practicing spiritual life. Why am I not advancing fast enough? It's very natural. And in that frustration, sometimes when we succumb to our desires and unable to control our mind and unable to keep up to the spiritual practice sincerely, so sometimes we get frustrated and think, oh, maybe Krishna isn't responding to my devotion. He just does not care. He's not reciprocating. Or sometimes we think, oh, bhakti maybe isn't working fast enough in my case. I know bhakti is great, but maybe in my case, it's not just really working fast enough. And or we sometimes blame ourselves. Sometimes we blame Krishna, sometimes we blame the process, sometimes we blame ourselves also. Maybe I'm so fallen, I'm so unqualified, that's why bhakti is not working on me. It's like I see other bhakti is working on others, it's not working on me, so problem isn't within with me. So I'm not qualified, I'm too fallen. So in this way our mind can actually make us very discouraged, doubtful, or skeptical. However, the truth is that none of these are actually true. Krishna is really eager to help. That's what again and again Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. And bhakti is supremely powerful. That also is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. And we see that in our own lives, where we were and where we have come, how far we have come, has happened in a very short time. Few years of this life is nothing compared to millions of lifetimes. And we also see when Srila Prabhupada was here, how much transformation he could bring about on the face of the whole planet, actually. And Krishna again mentioned in the ninth chapter that nobody is beyond redemption, that nobody is too fallen to actually receive mercy of Krishna. That's what God Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya has actually made it very clear. We are going to celebrate Lord Nityananda Prabhu's appearance day in a few days. That is literally day after tomorrow on Monday. He literally personifies this principle that how nobody is too fallen to receive Krishna's mercy. By giving even mercy to Jagai and Madai, Nityananda Prabhu showed that to the whole world. So if we have doubts on Krishna or on bhakti or on our own selves, it's very natural. In our state, we might get discouraged, but we don't need to actually be completely. We may feel like helpless, but we don't need to become hopeless. There is no place for hopelessness in bhakti. So we may be sometimes disappointed in the way we are advancing, but we don't need to get discouraged. So Srila Prabhupada himself said, when he did not have success in preaching for the first year and staying in New York City, he would get very disappointed that there is not much of a response. So he would go to the Brooklyn Steamship Company office, the Jaladuta office in Brooklyn, and he would inquire when is the next ship going back to India. And every now and then he would go all the way from Manhattan to Brooklyn and inquire the ticketing agent. And after a few times, the ticketing agent said, "You keep asking when is the ship going, but you never actually go. You just keep asking." So Srila Prabhupada said, "No, sometimes I get disappointed, but I know this is my spiritual master, service to my spiritual master. So it's okay. So he will come back." And he actually told in one kind of casual interaction with his disciples, he said, "I used to get sometimes discouraged and disappointed that there is no result here, and I'm alone. It's very hard. It's very cold, and it's cold outside, and I'm very old." So he said, "But I would think, oh, whether I live or die, I'll actually try my best to serve my spiritual master." So I would go check because I would get disappointed. But after they say the dates, I would think, oh, maybe 2 more months. Let me try. Let me try for 2 more months. It's better to die in the mission of my spiritual master than just go back. So what's the point in going back after I've taken so much risk? So he would come back. So that's when Srila Prabhupada says, we may be disappointed in bhakti for various reasons, but there is no place for discouragement because there is no need to get discouraged, but because Krishna is always very merciful. And Gokul is saying today is Bhishma Ekadashi. Yes. And that's also related to Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Purva?
Prabhuji, I had a question because sometimes even I do think that bhakti is not working for me because probably it's just my mistake. I'm not putting all my heart and soul into it, or I'm just too fallen. And then when I read the story about Jagai Madhai, and they were sent to earth, but before they were Jaya and Vijaya, isn't it? They were the guards at the gate of Krishna's abode. So
Mm-hmm.
then I
Yeah.
had this question that even if Jagai and Madhai, they were so fallen, like they used to harass everyone who came their way, and they used to search people for harassing, and they committed all kinds of sins. Yet their original position was that they were guards at Krishna's abode. So
Mm-hmm.
isn't it because of that and Krishna had already promised them that he would save them, like he himself would come and kill them, like when they were
You think
Hiranyaksha
this
and
sounds like more
Hiranyakashipu.
like a setup.
Sorry, but I'm just saying that we don't have that
So I'm
position.
not
So
like
then
I
why would
understand where you're coming from. You're saying this seems
we?
like already set up. Okay, you guys go and we.
Yeah,
It's not to some extent. Yes, it's also the scriptures and Krishna brings their own associates to play such extreme roles, which even not possible for many condition souls. So
but
scriptures
then it
actually show. Okay, means if you're, I will be coming to like I'll try my best to address your question. So like scriptures usually or Krishna brings his own associates sometimes to play roles which are like kind of very extreme, it's otherwise not possible for the living entities, and still they are not actually acting on a sense. There are multiple details also, that sometimes there are multiple personalities in person and so many other things. But in the case of Jaga and Mada, even for if we just consider, okay, they were associates of the Lord and Krishna just gave mercy to them, so what's a big deal? There is no guarantee that he will give me because I am not like that. But we do see on a general level devotees around us, and there are many other personalities who are not associates. Krishna saved Gajendra, Krishna saved Jamila. It's not that they were associates of the Lord.
yes, but sometimes I wonder whether I'm like more fallen than Jagai Madai. I don't know.
That's why
Probably.
a disciple of Srila Prabhupada went to Srila Prabhupada and said, I am the most fallen. Srila Prabhupada said, you are not the most anything, because that is also actually taken care by Jagai and Madai. So we have our struggles. Nothing is going to deny our struggles. Nobody is, what do you call, dismissing our struggles here. Krishna knows our struggles, and that is and there are certain lessons that we also need to learn. So it gradually comes. it's a very less amount of time that we are actually started practicing. This lifetime is not a lot, and it's a matter of few years. We are like really going through a millions of lifetimes of back, and we have that is happening very quickly in a few years. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says in his commentary to Nectar of Devotion that bhakti works very fast, but also very gradually. How he says that if you just take 1,000 lotus petals and press them in you will be able to hold 1,000 petals just within this kind of a space. That's how soft they are. And then you can take a needle and then press through, and it will press through very quickly. But if you just zoom in and see each one, how it is going through each layer, you'll think it's taking its time to pass through. But in the actual, it has just pushed through that whole bunch of thousands lifetimes very quickly. So similarly, our millions of lifetimes of our conditionings are being removed by few years of some inattentive chanting. Not even like fully attentive it, but still like with just a few years of practice with our ability to focus. Just already the holy name has done so much, has brought us much closer to Krishna. So if it has brought us this far, it has the potency to go further. So Rupa Goswami says if anyone falls on a path, they will take support of the same earth and get up and walk again. Similarly, in the bhakti path, if we ever feel discouraged, again take shelter of the same bhakti path, continue to walk, and take association of devotees. I hope that kind
Okay,
of
thank you.
answers. Hare Krishna. Yes,
Yes,
Krishna
thank you
Prabhu.
very much.
Hare
So
Krishna.
it's a related question, but on this slide itself, in general, our patience has declined in
Hmm.
the when I send an email, I expect a response immediately, or when I send a WhatsApp message,
Text.
text or WhatsApp, and in general, or even if I eat a medication, I expect it to work immediately. Otherwise, I lose faith in that. Knowing that in the even in the last 30, 40 years, if our patience has declined, what is our hope for maintaining this patience for bhakti and that to awaken in our heart, Prabhuji?
Thank you, Prabhu. That is a very pertinent question. So if you know this 9 stages of bhakti that Rupa Goswami discusses, we might not have discussed it in the Bhagavad Gita class. However, like it is, he says Shraddha, Bhajana Kriya, Sadhu Sangha, and Anartha Nivritti. So initial stages, we have little faith, we do some kind of association of devotees, and then through that we start chanting, we start hearing Gita and all these things. So through that, the heart starts to get cleansed. And once the heart is good amount is cleansed, that there is strong faith that manifests, stable devotional service that manifests and leads to more taste, attachment to Krishna, then bhava and prema, like that. So this stage of anartha nivritti is a very long running stage. Now these stages are not subsequent, like what do you call them, sequential. To the extent the heart is cleansed, to that extent nishta manifests, taste manifests, like that. So that particular anartha nivritti runs from the beginning till one achieves complete perfection. So Rupa Goswami says, then what is, as you are saying, how can a soul be patient? What is that thing that can actually help remain patient and hopeful? He says one needs to have a strong connection with one's spiritual master, a strong gratitude, experience, and surrender to spiritual teachers. So if we see, look, if we develop our connection and strengthen our connection with Srila Prabhupada, it can be very helpful. Because if when things like when we go through a dark night of the soul, when you don't see the end of the light in the end of the tunnel, it can be very hard because internally we're just alone to a large extent. And sometimes the external attractions or the distractions can be very powerful, and lifetimes of habits and conditionings can be very hard to break through. But it does not mean sometimes we have to go low to come up strong. I'm saying a very controversial thing. I don't think it's written in any book or anything. But most of the times, my personal experience and observing other devotees, usually sometimes people go down to come up, actually. Sometimes Krishna has to put us, it feels like he has left our hands to make us realize that he is actually holding our hands, but it's just that we need to become aware. Like sometimes we become too lazy and too casual in devotion service. If we are always alert, then we may not have to go through a low. But for most people, sometimes an apparent low is the way to actually bounce back. And it's and that during that phase, what actually keeps us is we don't need to have just shame and guilt, which just takes us away further from Krishna. Rather, we need to actually have a strong faith in and connection with teachers like Srila Prabhupada, then during those difficult phases, it can actually give us hope. Even if we think others might judge us, in our heart, we can always pray to Srila Prabhupada, we can pray to our spiritual teachers, and we can continue to pray to Krishna. But we think sometimes Krishna is too strict, so we don't want to go close to him, especially when we feel our consciousness is not in the right place. So, guilt is a big, real problem. Guilt and shame and fear. These things actually need not stop us from going close to Krishna. The right kind of guilt is to stop us from things that keep us away from Krishna. The guilt should be standing between us and the problem, not between us and Krishna. But sometimes it's very natural. As a practitioner, I have experienced that so much. I continue to experience that. And what has helped me personally is my faith in Srila Prabhupada. That is what can actually help us go through that difficult phase of the slow phase of snail pace phase of spiritual advancement sometimes. And once you cross a certain like phase, you actually can look back and think, actually, I was a rascal. Krishna had no other choice. He gave me so much chance. He gave me so much indication, but I'm just too egoistic, too proud, too illusion sometimes, and very entitled. So I feel like, yeah, I had to go through this now for me to actually develop some amount of gratitude and humility. So now looking back, I am grateful to Krishna, and I feel I deserved what I went through. But during that phase, it wasn't very fun. It wasn't like very easy. And having good friends and very merciful mentors, and also my faith in Srila Prabhupada. These are the things that continue to help me go through those difficult phases. Friends who really understand, who can, sometimes we may not speak, but they know and they hold space for me when required. And also devotees mentors who really understand the struggle and who are very empathetic and who encourage and hold my hand during that phase. So these are the three places, my faith in my own spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada, and continue to practice like a very strong philosophical Shraddha, Shastriya Shraddha, they call it. A kind of a faith that is not just sentimental, but faith based on philosophy. That also generally helps because I'm a slightly a bookish person. Like I have my inclination for philosophy and scriptures. So I feel in my case that has also helped me. But surely my own personal faith in scriptures would not have taken me much far. It is only by the mercy, like the help that was offered to me very graciously by my seniors and by my friends, with whom I could very honestly open, express, really not just whitewash my problems, but like really express my struggles. And also my own faith in my spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada. All the combination of these things actually continues to help me to push through the growing phase.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And actually, the going down that you mentioned, that's in MBA class, they call it a change curve. And in that change curve, they say that sometimes when organizations change, it brings you below their performance, and then only after that starts going up. So I think that I can relate to that.
Yeah,
But thank
it's
you.
more like,
Yeah,
yeah,
thank you for
it's more
sharing
like
your personal journey too.
Krishna dunks us inside the water and then we come up. For us to wake up, actually, because we are, the illusion is very strong. It's been for so many lifetimes. However, like externally, we are like nice devotees, very very generally we could be nice people, but still we hold a lot of ego and spiritual ignorance. So Krishna gradually operates it, and no operation is very pleasant. It's a little messy. Thank you, Hare Krishna. So sometimes we may think, oh, why it should be like I should beg for spiritual advancement, like Arjuna. It's my birthright, right? It's the nature of the soul to be Sachidananda. And I'm just wanting to realize my original nature. I have an eternal relationship with Krishna. So what's a big deal in just realizing it? As the spiritual advancement is my right. From that perspective, from the perspective of the nature of the soul, it may look like it's our birthright. However, spiritual advancement is not like a very impersonal thing. Bhakti is a relationship. So you can just demand love. You can just tell a person, okay, you just have to love me. We cannot demand. It's a thing. It's a relationship. It has to come from the other side very naturally. We have to wait. Even in this world, if you ever had an experience of falling into in love, so then you can just demand it. You have to wait and pray that hopefully the other person reciprocates it. So the same way here, Arjuna is requesting, cannot be demanded. Bhakti is a relationship with Krishna. It's like falling in love with Krishna. So we have taken our time. Krishna has always been loving and he was waiting. And we have taken our time. So we also need to give Krishna his time. And if you, that's why Krishna Arjuna is saying, if you feel I'm qualified, kindly bestow your grace on me. So that is the right attitude, because gratitude and humility opens our heart. So they say gratitude opens the heart and humility gets the heart ready. It's like a field for agriculture. So it is the humility that actually tills the heart, that can actually, when the seed is given, and then it can be a fertile ground for it to actually grow. So gratitude and humility opens our heart to receive divine blessings and grace and knowledge. So it's it has to be a practice. It's not, it's very easy to say, I'm just telling as if I do it, but it's my kind of, it is dawning upon me that how sometimes we won't be humble and we cannot wait for us to become naturally humble. So there was this devotee who entered Srila Prabhupada's room and he did not offer obeisances. Srila Prabhupada said, offer obeisances. So he had something in his hand and he just was walking towards Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, offer obeisances. He said, Prabhupada, I don't feel like doing. He said, if you offer, you will start feeling. So sometimes we may not actually feel like doing, but doing also can give us that feeling. So as a sadhana, we need to remind ourselves that I need to be grateful and humble. And we can go before the deities when you come to the temple, when in your own altar at home. It can be a practice that we go before, fold our hands, express our gratitude. Thank you, Krishna, for tolerating me, for continuing me to show your mercy. I'm fallen, please help me. So by actually making it a heartfelt practice, by showing gratitude and humility, making it a sadhana, it can actually make our heart actually happy also. It will ground us very well. And in that way, we'll be able to receive divine grace and knowledge. We'll be able to digest the knowledge that we learn, because there can be so much indigestion with a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that we all gain in bhakti in a very short time. We gain the essence of all the Vedic view. We gain an essence by coming to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. So it can actually make us very proud also. I know everything. But the knowledge to digest it, we need gratitude and humility. Otherwise, the knowledge can cause too much indigestion in the form of pride and arrogance. So, for lessons from this section, faith means trusting Krishna's judgment. Krishna has a understanding of the timeline. So, it may not match with our timeline. It may be slower than our timeline. However, we need to sync with Krishna's timeline. Have you ever seen a video where the character is moving its lips, but the audio is coming later? It's very annoying to watch. You can watch it. So if we are in a different alignment with Arjuna, Krishna has this timeline. And if we think it should happen quickly, and if we just are very impatient, then a life becomes very chaotic. We need to understand Krishna's timeline and we need to adjust to that. That is faith, that is trusting Krishna's judgment. And understanding leads to deeper inquiry. That Arjuna says, oh, I understood whatever you explained in the previous chapters, and that is leading to a deeper inquiry here. Okay, Krishna, can you actually show me further? And here also we see how Arjuna exemplifies this saying that a little knowledge breeds arrogance, but true wisdom actually brings humility. So the indication that he has really understood all the knowledge that Krishna spoke in the previous chapters is that he begs, if you think I am qualified, please show me this. And some kind of a reflection that we can take home from this section is, how do we approach our spiritual growth? So do I approach my spiritual growth with humility, or do I feel entitled to progress? And accordingly, we can pray to Krishna. So this is the first section. If anybody has anything to ask, reflect, share, please feel free to do so before we start the next one. Are you guys still able to see the shared screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. I lost it just a minute. Okay, the next section, what is the time? So the next section is verses 5 to 14. Here, Krishna is going to explain the universal form that he is going to show to Arjuna, and then he will show. So first he explains that what kind of divine opulence he will reveal, and then what kind of celestial beings and wonders he will see. And then Krishna tells Arjuna, okay, your current eyes won't do. You won't be able to see all that I'm wanting to show you. So I'll give you a set of divine eyes. And then he displays the universal form. And then describes what are the various things that actually Arjuna is seeing. Arjuna sees unlimited phases and eyes and weapons and all kinds of divine celestial entities and bodies. And Sanjay says this like a millions of suns if they arise at the same time. That's how effulgent this form was. And he sees the entire universe within Krishna, and he becomes completely overwhelmed with this, and then he offers obeisances. So we will see the verses. Before that, I wanted to discuss what is a universal form. What's a big deal? So much buildup is being given about the universal form. What is this universal form? Why is it important? So we see here, because it's a big deal these days, Visa. So that's the acronym here. So universal form is like the vast presence of Krishna, like unlimited way that how Krishna is all pervading in this particular universe. So it reveals Krishna's power, how he is all pervading and all encompassing in this universe. Though it's like a very what do you call grand and mind blowing form, it's still a very temporary manifestation. There is no eternal spiritual form called as the universal form. It's just the vision that Krishna is giving to Arjuna. There is no real what do you call, it's not that there is a spiritual world in which Krishna exists as universal form or anything like that. That is not the case. And I'm sorry, I'm struggling with these screens. Okay. So then Arjuna also inquires. So what does he say? Krishna. So he is asking for a specific thing. He's saying, you said that you sustain the whole universe with just a fragment of yourself in the previous chapter 10.42. So I really want to see how does that happen. So how do you sustain the whole universe? How have you pervaded this whole universe and support that? So show me. So the universal form is also a way to show that particular expansion of Krishna, in the way in which he supports this whole universe. And of course, we see that Arjuna represents all of us as seekers, so that we can actually understand Krishna better. Because a lot of us would like to hear, but we also would like to see, because it helps us comprehend very well. So Arjuna is also a similar student here. He says, yes, I need some audio visual representation in order to be able to understand this phenomena better. So that's why he is requesting Krishna to show. And it is also to benefit all the future generations, for all of us to understand that what is that Arjuna exactly saw. And it also shows Krishna's supremacy. A lot of people may claim themselves as God, but will they be able to show the universal form to substantiate that particular claim? So that is also another thing that is being showcased here by Arjuna and Krishna. And then it is also a top down revelation. It is not just Arjuna is imagining, he really is seeing a real vision which is granted by Krishna. And it is a top down revelation. It is not Arjuna's imagination. And it also, this universal form also demonstrates that how Krishna is the supreme person. He is not just any ordinary person. He is that supreme absolute truth, divine. So these are the various reasons that this universal form is being shown in this particular junction of the Bhagavad Gita. Because Arjuna earlier said in the 10th chapter, Param Dhamma, Param Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, and all these things, how you're the Supreme Lord. Here Krishna is showing a reality check in the sense of a practical explanation for that verses, that Arjuna realization in the previous chapter. And also, Krishna explained in the 9th chapter how he pervades all this universe. And that's also being proven here in this chapter. So the immediate context, as we were saying, that Krishna first described his divine opulences in chapter 9. If you see 9.4, he says, Krishna did say that how I am all pervading in this material universe. And yoga maishwaram, see this wonderful form. And Arjuna is, you're just saying, see this wonderful form, but you're not showing it. So please show. So then that's what is being shown in the chapter 11. And in the broader context, yes, this universal form actually confirms also that the war is the will of the divine, like how Krishna actually shows the future, what's going to happen there in the war, and how Arjuna need not worry. He need not have any doubt. And all his duty, his action of fighting will be accepted as a service by Krishna. Still, everything is decided. That does not mean Arjuna's actions are not going to be accepted by Krishna as service. No. Still, Arjuna's activities that he goes through, the effort that he puts in actually winning the war will be acknowledged by Krishna. It's not just everything is destined and we don't need to do any effort. We can just lie down and things will come to us. Some things will come, but not all. It's partly, even though some things are destined, still one needs to actually work for it. It won't happen without us putting efforts. And there is also the revelation of universal form in other places. If you read Krishna book in the Canto 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Yashoda sees Mother Yashoda is shown by Krishna the universe in his mouth, the same in a kind of a different kind of a form, but it's still an universal form that is shown inside Krishna's mouth. And before the Kurukshetra war, to deter Duryodhana, he was also shown the universal form. And in other circumstances where sage Uttanga, he also requested to see the universal form and he was shown the universal form. And if you read Bhagavatam later, there also a universal form comes, but that is a conceptual tool for meditating for the yogi to advance. But here it is a real revelation by Krishna. So there is a difference between the universal form you will see in the Bhagavatam and the universal form we will see, the description we will see in the Bhagavad Gita. Because one is a revelation, the other one is a tool of imagination, in the sense, and a conceptual tool to meditate, to get purified in the heart. So any clarifications? For your information, I'm not able to see any of you. I'm just seeing my screen. It's very confusing. I'm not able to get it back somehow. So if you have a question, unmute yourself and ask. I'm not sure if you raise hands digitally, I'm able to see it.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Olga
Okay.
here. I'd like to
Olga,
ask you,
yes.
I understand that you said that Krishna had told Arjuna about the existence of the universal form, but did Arjuna know prior to Krishna letting him know? And did all these other personalities know that Krishna has a universal form? Because Yashoda is supposed to be like unaware entirely. But
Yeah.
did others come to know of Krishna's existence of the universal form prior to Krishna showing it to him?
In general, they might have known, like sage Uttanga surely knew. That's why he's requesting, oh, I also want to see the form that Arjuna saw, like that. For Mother Yashoda, she was so much in parental love that she was just like, she wasn't seeing that it is a universal form or something. Like she was just like initially thinking, wow, this is so wonderful, but she's so confused. Why is it being shown in the mouth of my small child? She's completely she feels, okay, something is haunting Krishna or something. She just prays for Krishna's safety. She is on a completely another level. She might have known that the Supreme Lord has an universal form. Krishna showing it there is like kind of very jarring for her. She's not able to connect it exactly. And there is a reason why Krishna is showing and why Shukadeva Goswami is explaining it at that point. Because we may think, oh, all these small, tiny forms of Krishna being described as the son of Yashoda, we may think, oh, is that like any other boy, small little human child. That's to make us understand that this is not any ordinary boy. So that's why Shukadeva Goswami is recounting those instances that Krishna is showing. Krishna is basically playing a prank on Yashoda. That's what he is doing. So there is multiple levels why it's happening. For Duryodhana, Krishna literally wanted to discourage him and also wanted to show everyone that he is the Supreme Lord. If they want to still dare go ahead with the war, he cannot be like, then don't blame us. I have tried everything in my capacity to deter you from getting into this war to save yourself. Duryodhana also might know, but he is like already covered with atheistic views, so he wouldn't care. So yeah, it's because this universal form is also described in the Vedas. There is the Purusha Sukta, and there is all these explanations how the conceptual form that we see in the Bhagavatam is already explained in the Rig Veda also. So it is generally known that the Supreme Lord has a universal form and he is all pervading, but people have not seen it personally. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much, Prabhu.
So what is the time? Okay, we have some time. We'll be able to at least complete the verses, if not the lessons and the questions. So here Krishna is saying, Arjuna, see now my opulences. It's hundreds of thousands of varied divine forms you're going to see. And there will be so many manifestations of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini, Kumara. These are all demigods and all other demigods. And you will be able to behold these wonderful things that never seen or heard before. And whatever you wish to see, and you will be able to see it in this particular form. So this universal form that I'm going to show you will contain everything moving, non-moving in one place. And then he says, okay, however, this wonderful form that I want to show you cannot see with your present eyes. I will give you a set of divine eyes so that you can behold my mystic opulence. Aishwa, the same thing he says. Earlier he said, Pashyame Yogameshwaram, see my mystic opulence in chapter 9. So here he is saying the same thing. You will be able to see my mystic opulence. And then Arjuna now has got this particular eyes. So Sanjay is saying, what is Arjuna actually seeing? He's saying that the Supreme Lord is displaying the universal form to Arjuna, and he saw unlimited mouths, eyes, wonderful visions, various forms adorned with celestial ornaments, divine weapons, wearing celestial garlands, garments. And he's also experienced, it's like a 3D movie. Like you go to a theater, you see everything visually, but it's usually the sound and the, what do you call, eyes are usually engaged. I don't know about the 3D and all those movies. We might feel like touch. I'm not sure. I don't have the experience. But the divine scent here, he is also smelling, like he's also experiencing the fragrance. So it was brilliant, unlimited, and all expansive. And again, Sanjay is saying it was as if thousands of suns arose at the sky at once, and the radiance was like that. The effulgence of the universal form was like thousands of suns arising at the same time. And Sanjay is saying that how Arjuna saw in that unlimited expansion of the universe, everything all situated in one place, yet divided into many thousands. It was completely mind-blowing. And he, by seeing all of these things, because it's like becoming omniscient in one sense, in a very limited way though, because situated in one place, he is able to see everything. So it's like too much to handle. So naturally, Arjuna gets bewildered and astonished, and his hair is standing on end. It was so surprising. Nothing could prepare him. Though Krishna actually told what he is going to, so that Arjuna won't be bewildered, completely taken aback. Still, the thing that Krishna showed was so beyond his perception or imagination that Arjuna was still bewildered and astonished. And the immediate reaction was, "You are great." This is a simple realization is, Krishna, you're great. You're wonderful. He bowed his head, he offered his obeisances with folded hands, and he begins to pray. In the next week, we will see what he exactly says to Krishna and what are his prayers. But this week, we just saw how Krishna first gave a verbal description of what Arjuna is going to see. And then we are seeing from 9 to 14, Sanjay is explaining what Arjuna exactly saw and what was his reaction after seeing that universal form. So Krishna actually empowers Arjuna with divine vision. Basically, he is empowering, he is ready to empower his devotee. And different ways Krishna may reveal his universal form. This was explained by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu in one place. I thought this was relevant here. If you feel it's very technical, because it is from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, obviously it will be very technical. So there are 3 levels of methods of revelation that Chaitanya Charan Prabhu was sharing, that how Krishna can come in a form that our normal eyes can actually see and perceive. And he can actually sometimes empower our eyes, which can otherwise not see. Or he can completely provide a special set of eyes, and to the extent that our normal vision may not be even seeing anything. So if you see, he came in a visible form that normal eyes can see. When he came in his Krishna form, also the people of this world could see him. And he also showed, specifically we are speaking about universal form here. So Krishna showed universal form to Duryodhana. Duryodhana had his normal eyes. So Krishna still made it possible for Duryodhana to see. The purpose was to deter Duryodhana from war. So it was a limited, display. But still, Duryodhana with his normal eyes could see. And everybody in the Kurukshetra, what you saw, the assembly of the were also able to see the form that Krishna was showing to Duryodhana. Everybody could see. And when everybody could see, and they all are so astonished and they're all like expressing, Dhritarashtra says, "Oh my God, everybody is able to see. I am not able to see because I am blind." So then he actually prays to Krishna, and Krishna enables Dhritarashtra, though he is blind, he enables him to be able to see without external eyes. So this is again to inspire Dhritarashtra to stop Duryodhana's evil ways and to stop him from waging the war. So this is the purpose. So that how Krishna showed his form both for people who had normal eyes and for Dhritarashtra who was blind. However, here what Arjuna is being shown by Krishna is completely different. He's giving a divine vision, and he's, to that extent, his normal vision is completely suspended. Arjuna was not seeing 2 things. He was, wow, all that he was seeing was, it's like you can put like a vision Pro, Apple Vision Pro or something. I have not used. I'm not sure if you can continue to see the outside. However, if something like that, Krishna is giving him a divine vision. Arjuna's regular eyes are completely suspended from action. He is with the divine vision. He is seeing the universal form. He is not seeing anything which is immediately what is happening in the battlefield or who is there. Nothing he is able to behold. He is only able to see the divine vision that Krishna is showing. So this is to persuade Arjuna to stick to his duty of fighting. On one hand, he showed universal form to deter Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra from fighting. But here he is actually showing this to Arjuna to encourage him to continue to fight. Mother Indra?
So I'm thinking about this in how in trying to relate to this information. So Arjuna and Dhritarashtra, they see this universal form, and yet they can't stop doing what he's trying to get them not to do, right? Like they can't really appreciate who he is. And basically, I'm assuming they see how they're going to lose, but they don't want to believe that. And is that kind of to show us how we ourselves, knowing everything we know, knowing how Krishna is waiting for us to come forward and do the right thing and be with him, ultimately, how we still have trouble doing what we're supposed to do? It's so hard for me to understand how they could see this and still do what they did. And is that all part of Krishna's plan so that we hear these stories and we have a relationship to them? Or
yeah, as you're saying, though they saw, it did not actually make any difference, because again, that is why sometimes we think, oh, why is not Krishna making me a pure devotee instantly? Because it's a two-way thing. Krishna can do his part, but we would have to actually do our part, because it's a change of heart. Because their heart was not changed. They still had the same consciousness, though Krishna from his side did everything, because their consciousness was still mundane. It could not actually have the same effect. Bhagavad Gita also is heard by at least three: Arjuna directly from Krishna, and Sanjaya remotely, and Dhritarashtra is also hearing Bhagavad Gita. And we see what was Arjuna's reaction. He says, Nashto moho smritir labdha. His illusion is dispelled, and he actually takes up to the war, and he's completely enlightened. And Sanjaya, he has a complete physical transformation. He's in ecstasy. That is also in the Bhagavad Gita last chapter that Sanjay says, the more and more I remember this dialogue, my hairs are standing on end. And on the other end, Dhritarashtra is completely frightened and frustrated and anguished because his sons might lose after hearing all that, and he has to share from the Bhagavad Gita. So it's just one's own consciousness is also very important to realize Krishna. So we are not literally on the same level as Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra in one sense. On another sense, it is also to explain to us the importance of having to transform our consciousness, the need. So it's not that just because the deities are there, the Bhagavatam is there, the Bhagavad Gita is there. For a pure devotee, they may just look at the deity and they may have complete transformation spiritually. We are also chanting the same name, seeing the same deity forms. We go and take darshan of Radharaman in Vrindavan. The same Radharaman transformed completely for Gopal Bhatta Goswami. We chant the same holy names, like which Haridas Thakur wanted millions of ears and millions of tongues. But we may not have the same experience because of our consciousness. But that does not in any way say that we are like Duryodhana or Dhritarashtra, literally, to inspire us that how it is very important for us to transform our consciousness. Does it make sense, Mother Indra?
yes, thank you.
I think we just finished. We are just few minutes late. So when the soul sincerely seeks, the Supreme Lord Krishna is eager to reveal. So here Arjuna sincerely seeked, and he humbled himself and he endeavored to understand the knowledge, and he is asking for more. And Krishna is willingly revealing it because Arjuna is very humble. And the lessons that we can see from this section is that how seeing is not just always believing. As Mother Indra said, Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra did see, they couldn't believe. So seeing is just not enough. Seeing is not always believing in a sense. When there is no right consciousness, seeing will not be enough for us to believe. And also spiritual growth is not cheap. There is a price to pay for spiritual growth. So we don't need to be impatient. We need to have faith and trust that the process works, and Krishna is merciful. So we just have to patiently endeavor, continue, take the help necessary. And in that way, we'll be able to eventually achieve more spiritual growth. And the quote here is that the way to reach God is not by our power. We can never reach God by our own power. However, all we can do is we can let the mercy of Krishna come and touch us. For that, we need to have the right attitude. So we have to let mercy to pick us up. For that, we need to actually be in the right consciousness. So then we can actually reach God by letting His mercy touch us. In that way, we'll be able to reach not by our own power. And the other reflection that we can actually take home is, I'm prepared for spiritual truths that may challenge my current perceptions and comfort zones. Because in a conditioned consciousness, we may have so many ideas, but sometimes spiritual life challenges those ideas, those conceptions, and not having control can actually frustrate us. And that's a part of spiritual growth, to make us realize that it's not just completely just within our own control. Krishna also has to reciprocate, his grace has to come. So thank you again. And these are some of the thoughts and reflections.